Well, here we go again. Go to the fact checkers.
You called it the gold standard of trade deals. You said it's the finest deal.
The body language of the candidates has come under as much scrutiny as the content of their debates. They're both comfortable on camera even when they're not comfortable with each other. And non-verbal communication speaks volumes when both contenders are trying to stand out to secure their place as the next president.
Iran is taking over Iraq.
Secretary Clinton.
Iran is taking over Iraq. We don't get
Secretary Clinton.
We would have gained if they did it by surprise.
Wait. Secretary Clinton, it's an open discussion.
Donald Trump's use of pinching and pointing to emphasize his points has almost become a trademark. But it was his looming stance behind Hillary Clinton in the second debate, which was seen as a power play, even stalker-like behavior. Clinton's decision to turn towards the audience was seen as open and engaging. She's been praised for maintaining a calm and dignified expression in the face of verbal attacks, but also criticised for being too animated. She smiled too much and not enough. He's grimaced and been too agitated.
If you were an effective senator, you could have done it. If you were an effective senator, you could have done it. But you were not an effective
Please allow her to
senator.
respond. She didn't interrupt you.
You know, under our Constitution, presidents have something called veto power.
And the decision about who gets that power will be influenced by their ability to project a presidential image. Natalie Pohanen, The Newsmakers.
Well, Ruth Sherman joins me now from New York. She's a communications expert and commentator, as well as an author. Ruth, thanks so much for joining us. First, I want you to tell us what stood out to you most as far as body language is concerned in this debate.
Last night, what I saw was that Donald Trump was more disciplined, much more disciplined, so that people who might be looking for a reason to vote for him, might be on the fence about it, might be worried about some of his more outlandish statements and policy proposals, would say to themselves, you know, I might be able to envision this guy in the Oval Office based on his performance last night. Now, if you listen to the pundits after that, we heard that this was a devastating night for Donald Trump. But if I'm the average voter in the United States and I've been struggling, I'm thinking, you know, I need a change. And Donald Trump last night, I think, showed that he was capable of the discipline he hasn't been able to show so far. That's
an interesting perspective. Let me ask you more about some of the kind of minutia of how he communicates and how he performs in these debates. His interrupting constantly, I mean, multiple times more than Hillary Clinton attempted to. Do viewers, do you think, respect that or resent it?
It depends on the viewer. I think if you are a Republican voter and you are, number one, in favor of Donald Trump, you've already decided to vote for him, or you're looking for a reason to vote for him, or you hate Hillary Clinton, then his interruptions are welcome. But if you are thinking that Hillary Clinton should have been more polite, perhaps more respectful, then you might think that his interruptions are over the top. You know, my take on his interruptions last night was that they weren't as boorish and rude, with a couple of exceptions, there always are exceptions, as they had been in the past. And because Trump had such a low bar to get over in his performance last night, all he had to be was better than he'd been in the past. And he was, even when it comes to the interruptions.
Okay, let me ask you then from a broader perspective. I've heard some analysts say that Trump is allowed to be loud, while Hillary has to work very hard at staying restrained and composed. Why is it that he gets away with this overt, audacious behavior?
It's sexism, to be perfectly blunt. We've been having a great conversation in the United States about this. Just like Bernie Sanders was able to yell and holler his way through the entire primary season, Donald Trump is able to behave in ways that are looked at askance when it's a woman candidate. People have listened to candidates over all of U.S. history who are men. At this level, we have not ever seen a woman campaign at this level before, at least in this country, so it's new for us. And we may be thinking, well, the only person I've ever heard yell is my mother, and I didn't like that very much. So that's what we associate it with. We'll see. If Hillary Clinton wins, we'll begin to hear voices that are louder, and maybe she'll help us get used to what it sounds like when a woman raises her voice and gets emotional.
Okay, something else interesting that you pointed out in one of your writings is that he's physically much bigger than her, and that gives him an advantage. How do you counter that?
You can't. You absolutely can't. Now, Hillary Clinton happens to be a small woman. The problem is she has been in the public eye now for what, going on 30 years, I guess. And we think of her as bigger than life. We don't see her. Most people don't see her up close and personal. They don't know she's short by most height standards. So anybody would tower over her, and he is tall. So the way you counter it is by behaving in a way that's masterful, that's confident. For example, her white suit last night showed a lot of confidence. You know as well as I do, women are reluctant to wear white, first of all, because it puts a few pounds on, and we want to avoid that at all costs. But also, most average women will have maybe one white dress or white outfit that they'll wear from time to time, only because they're afraid it will get dirty and they'll have to send it out to the dry cleaners. So white shows confidence. It shows that she's mindful about that.
Okay, Ruth Sherman, we're going to have to leave it there. Thanks so much for joining us from New York.